Hello everybody and welcome back to Ace Combat Assault Horizons How To by me, German Turtle. Today is mission number 8, Pipeline Destruction. Now, when you first enter the battlefield on this one, you'll be tempted to think this is quite simple, there's not much going on here, but I'd like to draw your attention to the time limit, which is 5 minutes, and by the time you realise this is probably already 4 minutes and 53 seconds. So, we'll just jump straight into my advice. First things first, pick off the tankers on the left of the map here. As you'll see, they're 500 points each. So, taking out the 4 tankers, the positions of which you'll see in the video now, you already start off with a lovely 2,000 points, which is about 10% of what you need. Now, you might be thinking 20,000 points in 5 minutes is ridiculous, but this is an oil facility, so everything explodes, and everything next to the thing that exploded will also explode. However, there is an easy way to make up the extra points that you require in a very quick fashion. Now, littered here all over the map is just green hexagons everywhere. It can feel a bit sort of, where do I begin? So let me show you. First of all, you might have noticed this helicopter floating here. I passive aggressively go for these helicopters. They do give you an extra 200 points, I believe, but they tend to just explode when something underneath them explodes anyway, so don't go out of your way to try and catch these guys off guard. But you can see that with one successful run, we've already made up about 5,000 points. That is 25% of what you need. Now, obviously, it may seem stupid to just say this out loud, but it does have to be repeated time and time again when you're playing this. Stay focused and go for the groups of ground targets. Now, if you're looking for extra points or something to just build up the points a bit faster, have a look for missiles launching from the surface, just like here, or for machine gun fire coming from anti-aircraft guns, because they're worth about 50 to 100 extra points per target destroyed. And often if you just destroy the groups of oil tanks that are located close by these surface-to-air weapons, you tend to rack up some extra points by chucking them in there. Now, my next piece of advice, just while we're still looking at part 1 here, is definitely avoid going for the aerial targets. Avoid fighter jets and all of those unless they're literally in front of you and you have a machine gun shot while you're going for the ground targets. Because, as you're about to see here, when you go for aerial targets, you tend to waste so much time in comparison to when you go for ground targets. And I've made a little short strip here where you can see in a matter of 15 seconds we rack up a large amount of points, and then in another matter of 15 seconds we just managed to launch some missiles at a jet. So if you have a look here, we've literally accomplished nothing by going for the aerial target, apart from getting attacked because we're now attracting their attention up here. So now that we've made it this far, it's time to start part 2, what I like to call the sandstorm. Now, what I'm going to do here is superimpose a map on the screen for you, just so that everybody can see this. This isn't necessarily 100%, but these are the locations of enemy trucks that I've memorized. If you get stuck on this bit too long, feel free to take a screenshot of this and just refer to it for your own personal reference as you go through this mission. It is very difficult to balance absolutely all of the skills necessary to complete this bit, and if I may be completely honest, the first time I did it, it took me at least 3 or 4 attempts. So the key to completing this mission is in juggling all of the skills necessary to survive the next 8 or so minutes. You want to be able to destroy your targets by following the general direction of where they pop up on your radar, keeping in mind that while you're doing this, the game is actually designed to try and distract you by showing you where other targets' locations are to confuse you and make you think you're either going the wrong way, or to distract you and make you go away from a target that you were previously getting close to. So make sure you pay attention to that when you lock in on a target. Pay attention to how far away it is, and pay attention to how fast you're flying and how high you're flying, because these are all things that you need to be concerned with. Now, first of all, if you see an enemy and its outline if you see a radar trace and the outline of that enemy is sort of a dotted line rather than a solid hexagon, that means it's behind a mountain and you don't want to fly directly towards it because you might crash into that mountain. Most of these targets are in groups of 2 or 3, and some of them are accompanied with SAMs and anti-air guns, depending on the difficulty level that you play. If you're using my superimposed map from earlier, you'll notice there's a blue dot at the very tip of the map. That is an enemy. It's just I wanted to pre-warn you that this one explodes blue. So if you notice that while you're fighting, you've done this correctly and you've followed my map the way it was intended. Now the other thing that you need to be aware of is the sandstorm buffets your plane around quite harshly. So my sort of safety barrier, even though the footage doesn't sort of confirm this, I usually fly at around an altitude of 300 to 400, maybe 200, depending on the situation and how confident I'm feeling. But as a general safety barrier, aim for about 300 on your altitude. Now once the enemy drones become a part of this, that's where this gets interesting, because every time you get close to a target, they will start targeting you, and outside of that, they will still attack you, but they'll sort of ignore you a bit more. So if you can't find that last enemy, have a look at where the drones are circling and things like that. There are small signs you can notice everywhere. Now remember to stay focused. If you spot a blip on your radar and head towards that blip, you keep heading towards that blip until you've destroyed it, because otherwise you'll get distracted by those other blips I was talking about earlier that appear when you get close to the current target that you were going for. Now you'll see this happen on my game footage quite a few times, and you'll also notice the drones tend to attack me more as I'm targeting the targets that I've gone after. Now remember, there is no shame in using my map. Honestly, after about 3 or 4 times doing this, you'll probably not need the map anyway, because you'll have a direct feel for where they are and you'll understand what's going on. Don't worry about getting stuck here for a couple of runs, it is completely normal. So once you've taken out 20 trucks and you've completed part 1 successfully, as we have here, that's it. That's essentially mission go and you're all done. So I hope this guide has helped you pilots, you fellow pilots out there, and I'll be back with another how-to guide very soon. I'm sorry this one took so long to come out, I was on holidays. So guys, thanks for putting up with me as always, and thank you for watching the video. Hey, if you enjoyed what I do, maybe like and comment and subscribe. It's all optional, it's German Turtle 05, so we don't force anyone to do anything here, but I would of course greatly appreciate it. Right, so that's me out. Have a good one guys, bye bye.